Welcome to Looking at Legal Stuff. Today we have 16 hearings covering 2 different guardianship cases that have the same mother but 2 different fathers. In the first case, Dad's mom is demanding a guardianship of her 4-year-old grandson because she says Mom and Dad are homeless addicts who are living in a shed on her ex-husband's property. In the second case, Dad's parents also want a guardianship of their 12-year-old granddaughter because Mom is still a homeless addict who's unable to care for her children. The grandparents do not want Mom to have visitation at the moment because she recently got high and texted the granddaughter copies of the guardianship paperwork, even though there's a protective order for the child so she wouldn't be exposed to the accusations about her parents. But Mom still sent it to her anyway, causing her great distress. Let's watch both cases.
Thank you. Guardianship of Lance Lewis.
Hello.
All right, good morning. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Good. Does the father consent to the emergency guardianship?
No.
Okay. And have both parents been served at this point?
No, just me. As far as I know.
Okay. Just a moment here.
No problem.
All right, so Ms. Barnes, you're the mother.
Yes.
What's your position on the minor guardianship?
I had gotten an eviction out of my housing and was in the middle of transferring my move. I asked her to help me watch the child. She did for a couple days, and then I was all set up in Toledo with my good friend, had a room for me, my children, everything till we got settled into our new place. And he was visiting with his dad and she took him and then said she's had him the whole time. I have proof that she is not. I have a 21-year-old and have never been found any findings with CPS or any reason that my child should not be at least able to speak to me. He has a huge on his hand, I guess, from getting burnt and stuff. He does talk to his siblings. That's the only way I know that, because they were crying about it. I'm just worried about his well-being. He's never been away from his mother. I don't know how he's dealing with that, and I'm just worried about him and wondering what I need to do next to get this moving.
All right, and it looks like the petitioners, Gail Levitt and Roy Levitt, I don't see that they're with us today. So, all right. Ms.
I'm not sure. Yes, I've had a chance to meet with the petitioners as well as meet Lance. And he is doing very well, just to let Mom know that he is doing well. CPS is involved and they're meeting with the family, the grandparents and Lance this week. I'm hoping to hear from them either today or tomorrow. So I'll have some more information about that. There are fairly significant concerns and at this point, which would include substance abuse issues for both the parents that are longstanding, as well as domestic violence. I'm very concerned for Lance's physical health. He appears to be very malnutrition, and I'm waiting for the information from the doctor about his physical health. He is extremely small, very, very underweight. I was able to have a look at his shot records. He was only behind on 1 record. So that has been taken care of, but he hasn't had a full physical, and that is in process, I believe this week or early next week. I can't remember the date.
May I say something?
Yes, Ms. Barnes, go ahead.
All of my children are very small children. I have proof of that. I have been through, Lance has been through, when he was born, he wasn't even on the percentile at all. He was under it. He was a very, very small baby. All my children are, I'm small. His dad was small. His dad was 4 pounds when he was born. And I've gone to WIC and every nutritionist that I could possibly go to. He's always had his, what he calls baby's milk, which is the Pediasure. I don't know if they're giving it to him or not, or if they've set his wick up or not, but that stuff's very important to him. And I am aware of his, he's just eats he's just a steady, slow eater. But he is growing, he's went from like 0 to on the 16th percentile. So that is just where we're at with that. But even WIC didn't say like that they were concerned about it. But that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Ms. Day, what would you recommend at this point?
So at this point, I would recommend that the child remain with the petitioners, and there be some phone contact with mom until we can kind of get through this. I hope to get some information very quickly, so I don't want to belabor that. Monique, I would like to have some contact information from you. I tried to get some information, hadn't gotten very far, so I don't know if you want to give me a phone number, or if
Yes,
you can
absolutely.
put that. Can you type that in? Oh, it's just us here. If you want to give me that, there's nobody else here. So,
Okay,
all right, I'll shoot you an email real quick.
perfect. Thank you.
Are the petitioners comfortable with telephone visits? Do you know?
I do not know, but I can certainly ask them. I don't know why. I don't think that would be a huge thing. It would allow for some contact. I know that he is having contact with his siblings. And I saw the burn on his hand. He does have a burn on the palm of his hand. It's been well cared for. He showed it to me willingly. He is a very sweet young man.
He is. He's a wonderful child. Thank you.
All right. If I put this over to April 11th, would that be enough
Yes.
time to look into everything? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to put this over to April 11th at 10:30.
Okay.
If the petitioners agree, so I'm going to give them a little bit of control here.
Okay.
Then I would like Ms. Barnes to have 2 telephone visits a week with Lance. Ms. Day, you'll have to do the communication, I think, between the two of them.
I'm
As
happy
to
to facilitate that.
What day works and what time works. Lance is 4. He's going to have kind of, he's not going to be able to talk probably for an hour, but,
No.
get 15, 20 minutes. At least there'll be some contact. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. And if the petitioners for some reason absolutely don't want to, I'm going to let them make that call.
Oh.
And Ms. Barnes, I'm sorry if that's the case, and we'll address it when we come back on April 11th.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So we'll see you back here then. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your work.
Have a good day.
All right. Next is the guardianship of Lance Lewis. This day, I think you're on that case.
Yes, sir, I am.
Is Monique Barnes here? You are. Good. And I see Ms. Levitt is here. All right. Last time we were here, the father, Mr. Lewis, had consented to the emergency guardianship. The mother, Monique Barnes, did not consent, and Ms. Day was appointed the court visitor. So let me hear from Ms. Day first, and then I think Ms. Barnes, I'll hear from you after that. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. I need just a little bit more time to complete my report. I've been able to do some work. I visited the child. I've met with the grandmother. I've had limited contact with mom. She has not returned or responded after our last court hearing. We had a brief conversation and I haven't heard from her since then. I was able to speak with the former CPS worker. And so I just need to have a little bit more time and hopefully an opportunity to meet and talk with mom. And then I should be able to have my report done. My estimation at this point would be maybe 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how quickly I can be in touch with mom and be able to move forward with that.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Barnes, any response?
Yeah, she sent me the paperwork, I do believe, 7 days before this hearing. So seven days ago. I got you an email. She'd just now gotten a hold of me. That is not enough time to fill out the paperwork to even make the appointment. So there's no way I could have made an appointment with you, even if I did all the paperwork and turned it in and made an appointment. She's definitely right. We haven't had time to meet. I'm also thinking, what about a public defender? I was going to ask you about.
Okay.
And visitations. I was wondering if I was supposed to be able to ask for visitation. This is all new to me, so I haven't been to court in a long time.
All right. How long do you think you need to finish the paperwork and get a hold of Ms. Day?
I have all of it printed out and about half of it filled out, so not very long.
Okay.
Couple days.
Okay. All right. I'm going to address the appointment of an attorney in just a moment. I want to hear from Ms. Levitt. If you want to unmute yourself. You're still muted there. There you go.
There.
All right. Do you have any comment about putting this over 2 to 3 weeks?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Do you have any comment about putting this over 2 to 3 weeks?
I have to take a day off every time. This is just, she doesn't even have a job. So why in the heck didn't she get the paperwork filled out in 7 days? Come on, it's just, nothing is going to change with this situation. I've had Lance for a month and a half. He started school today. We've been to the doctor. We've been to the dentist. We are now playing t-ball. And this little boy has a life. And he is happy. He's getting better. When I first got him, he spits on you, kicks you, hits you. He's had no structure in his life whatsoever. My husband and I are breaking a stallion at this point, which we love him to death. I don't see either of his parents capable of being a parent. So I'm just going to go for pro custody.
Okay. Do you, Ms. Barnes would like to have some visitation with Lance. Do you, what do you feel about that at this point?
I'm not sure. You know, I just don't want to, his mental health right now, we're getting so much better. I would never want to keep a kid from their mom. I really wouldn't, Your Honor. I feel terrible about the situation, but if it's going to affect his mental health, you know what I mean? We can try something. I mean, I guess I have to give it a try to see how he's going to be affected by it.
And Your Honor, if I could input in there that at our last hearing on March 21st, when Mother appeared, she was granted phone visitations twice a week. And I don't know if those have occurred or not occurred.
No.
And that would be very telling. If she did not make those calls, that would be very concerning to jump straight into personal visits. So I would say we need some consistency with phone calls. And Lance would need to be hopefully getting some counseling started very soon.
Well, we go to the doctor this afternoon. So I'm gonna see if he does need some counseling.
All right, Ms. Barnes has asked for an attorney, and under the statute, if she qualifies, then an attorney can be appointed for her. I'm going to check with an attorney named Kurt Anagnostou to see if he's willing to represent you. And if he is, then I'll make that appointment. I put this over from last time to today to address the issue of visitation. I was hoping to hear more from the guardian ad litem in terms of an interview and looking at Ms. Barnes. That did not occur. Also, it appears the phone visits that I allowed have not been happening. And I think it was up to Ms. Barnes to initiate those calls. So I'm not willing to increase any kind of visitation at this time. We'll leave the phone visits in place, and hopefully they can occur over the next few weeks until it's done. Ms. Barnes, you wanted to say something, and I'm happy to hear from you.
Sorry, I was not sure. All I heard last time was that it was up to Gail whether I had the visitations or not. I wasn't sure if I had a restraining order, and I was too scared to call. I did talk to him twice because I was around the phone when he was on the phone in one day, which was awesome. But I did not have any idea that I was supposed to call. I thought I would get in trouble for that. Just right. To put on the record. Ms.
Levitt, do you have any problem with Ms. Barnes calling for the purpose of talking to Lance?
No, I don't.
Okay. So again, I think I ordered 2 calls a week. I didn't specify when they would be. So you do have the ability to call Ms. Levitt. The only purpose of that call is to say, I want to talk to Lance. She'll put Lance on the phone. You can talk, you know, he's only 4. So, you know, as long as you can talk, you can, but that's probably not going to be more than 15 minutes, I would imagine. So each time.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to put this over 3 weeks then. I can't do that. That's judicial comp. No, 3 weeks will be fine. So this will go over to May 2nd. At 10:30. To get to a resolution in this case, Ms. Barnes, it's important that you get the paperwork into Ms. Day and that you have a conversation with her. Okay. Okay. I see you got it. You told me you had it partially done. That's good. If you could get that in the next couple of days, that would be great. Okay. All right. We'll see everybody back here on May 2nd.
Thank you.
Thank you. Represent Ms. Barnes, Mr. Anagnosti.
I do.
Oh, there's Ms. Levitt. Good. Okay. All right. I believe I received a guardian ad litem report recommending the appointment of the guardian. The father is consented. I think the mother is registering an objection. Have you spoken to the mother recently?
I have not, Your Honor, and I think I was appointed.
Okay, we can't hear.
But last week I was out of the office for a vacation, so I talked with Ms. Day yesterday and basically became aware I was appointed on this case yesterday. So I haven't.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Contact her. I was hoping to be able to get contact information for her because we don't have any.
Ms. Levitt right now. Okay. Ms. Day, do you have contact information?
I do have contact information, and I can forward that to Mr. Anagnosti. I haven't been successful. I've been able to reach her by phone once and a couple times by email, but she doesn't respond very well. But I'll send that information to Mr. Anagnosti as soon as we're done with court.
Okay. I muted you.
Ms. Levitt, I need you to remain quiet because we can hear you here.
Looks like we have a speaker on.
Looking at when I'd like to set
We all
the
look
next
frozen.
hearing. Ms. Levitt, I'm going to have to mute you because there's too much noise coming through. What I'm thinking is setting a follow-up hearing for May 30th, and at that time, potentially having the hearing on the emergency guardianship. I just want to make sure everybody's going to be around on May 30th.
That works for me.
Your Honor.
Okay. I'm going to extend the immediate emergency guardianship until that date. And then hopefully, Mr. Anagnosto, you have enough time to speak to your
Right.
client.
Right.
Okay. All right. Ms. Levitt, anything you'd like to add today? Ms. Levitt, can you hear me?
Damn it. Oh. That was me.
Can you hear us?
Can you, can you hear me? Ms. Levitt, can you be back here on May 30th? So I think we'll just go forward with that.
Hello?
Oh, there you go. Ms. Levitt, can you hear me okay?
Oh. Hello?
Ms. Levitt, can you hear
Oh,
me?
man.
No, Mom.
So, Ms. Levitt, sometimes if you turn the camera off, then we can get the audio if you want to try that. Let's go with, I guess the plan will come back on May 30th and deal with the emergency. When we were here, I indicated that today we were going to have a full hearing on Lance Lewis as to whether the court should appoint Gail Levitt and Roy Levitt as the emergency minor guardians. And are the parties ready to proceed on that?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. All right, we will start with the petitioner, Gail Levitt. Is that right?
Yep.
All right. So when we do a hearing, then I place the parties under oath. So I'm going to place you under oath and then have you testify about why you feel the guardianship is necessary. And then I'm going to go to Ms. Day and ask her what she has, what her conclusions are. And then I believe I'm going to go to Mr. Anagnosto and he will.
My client, yeah.
Okay. And let me just check something here. All right. Tell the court in your own words why you feel a minor guardianship is necessary for Lance Lewis.
Well, first off, his parents are both homeless. They're living in a shed behind my ex-husband's house. Lance was not taken care of well. I've had him for 4 months. I've got him in week care daycare. He gets kicked out of school, got kicked out twice last week. He's got behavioral issues from the way he was raised. I went to this Kelso school district and we had him assessed at Wallace. So we'll see how that goes. I've got him signed up for Head Start. He's doing, when I first got him, Your Honor, he would spit in your face, kick you, hit you. We have made great bounds, but we're not there yet. I've got an appointment on the 9th for him to have some counseling at Core Hill. On the 6th, we're getting his front teeth capped because they were not taken care of. He's way better off with me. I'm not saying that, you know, someday maybe like he says, my parents need to get their stuff together. And he calls my house home and he's adjusted. It's funny how kids adapt. And he's home at my house. They came and brought his clothes yesterday, finally, after 4 months. I let him go with them to the park for a couple hours. And that he just said, okay, bye, you know, so he has adapted quite well. And until they get their lives together, there's no need to put this little boy through that.
How old is he right now?
4.
Okay. So he's not in kindergarten yet.
No, we're trying for pre-K, but we can't figure out after the assessment to be in a behavioral situation or not. So we're working on that right now, but we have signed up for Head Start and we've been to Wallace School where they have the behavioral classes.
What is your thought on visitation with the parents?
As long as it's not negatively affecting him,
Well, like yesterday, they were going to come. They said they'd be there in 20 minutes to a half hour, and an hour and a half later, they arrived. Well, that just made him kind of crazy. You know, that you can't do that. I said I want him home by 3. He was home by 3:15. So that wasn't too bad, but they have to be consistent, you know, and they have to say, if I'm going to come visit my son, you're going to do it on my time, first off, and you're going to be on time. You can't, that inconsistency, that's not fair for his little being.
Yeah. How long has he been living with you now?
I think a little over 4 months.
Okay.
So in 70 days, Your Honor, his mother called him 4 times in 70 days.
And you indicated something with his teeth. What was the condition of his teeth when he came?
He's got his 2 front teeth here are crumbling. So we have an appointment on the 6th to get those fixed.
All right. What kind of insurance does he have?
It's through the Apple.
Okay, through the state. Mr. Lewis, I'm going to mute you because we're getting some feedback. What's his living arrangement at your house? Does he have his own room or?
At his own room, yes.
Okay.
And a swimming pool and a bike and lots of books, and he's very well taken care of at my house.
All right. Anything else you want to add at this point?
Not really. I just, you know, we've got to take care of this boy and get him on the right track.
Okay, so you'll have a chance to respond to anything Mr. Anagnostou or Mr. Lewis or Ms. Barnes says. And it's important that you just listen while they're talking, and then I'll give you a chance to respond, okay? All right, thanks. Let's next go to Ms. Day. Ms. Day, I'm going to go a little bit out of order here. Mr. Anagnostou, did you have any questions for Ms. Levitt that you wanted to ask?
Yes, Your Honor. I was going to ask.
I apologize for not giving you that opportunity. So go ahead.
Right. You want me to ask the questions now?
Yeah, let's do that now.
So my client, Monique Barnes, is she visiting with her son?
She's called him 4 times in 70 days.
Okay.
I called her on Mother's Day to say that he had a gift for her. So she saw him 15 minutes on Mother's Day. And yesterday she saw him for like 2.5 hours. That's it in 70 days.
So 2.5 hours yesterday, and you let her take him to the park, or
her and his father?
Okay.
Because they're evidently back together. I don't know.
All right. Yeah, that was my question, Your Honor.
Would you like to indicate your report in this case?
Yes, Your Honor. So I was appointed as a court visitor in March, and I provided my report at the end of April. In that investigation, I was able to meet with Miss Levitt. I was able to meet Lance and visit him at home with Grandma. I have not had any contact with Gary Lewis, the father. He had signed a consent, and I had no way of reaching him. At the time I was appointed, he was incarcerated. I see now that he's out, but I haven't had any contact with him. With Mother, I have had very limited contact. I was able to reach her a couple of times, always with the promise that she was going to fill out the paperwork and call me back and meet with me, and then never responded. She would show up in court and say that she wasn't able to meet with me. You would set it over, and we would kind of do the same thing again. So my contact with her has been limited. I was able to talk with Jennifer Olson, who was the CPS investigator. She expressed significant concerns about the neglect that Lance and the other children were experiencing, that Mother has. Lance is the only one involved in this guardianship. She expressed concerns for medical neglect, physical neglect, and ongoing substance abuse for both the parents. She was having extreme difficulty even tracking down Mom with the other kids, but she was able to do that. I understand now that Mother has obtained some sort of temporary housing. They've closed the case for the other 3 kids, and Lance is closed because he's in the guardianship with Grandma. So my recommendation is that he is in need of a guardianship. He has suffered extensive dental and medical neglect and physical neglect. He is in need of a safe and stable home. He's in need of counseling and the ability to move forward academically, so he'll be ready for kindergarten next year.
All right, thank you. Mr. Anagnostou, any questions of Ms. Day?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Lewis, I think you've filed a consent in this case, allowing Ms. Levitt to be the guardian, at least the emergency guardian. Is that still your position, that you consent to that?
Yes, Your Honor. But I just want to establish some visitations, maybe like, a couple days a week. I didn't want to overnight visit with my son. So I just want to try to establish some of those.
All right, I think Monique Barnes is back with us, so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Anagnostou, and Ms. Barnes, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
And you've heard the testimony of the petitioner, Gail Levitt, right?
What was that? You broke up a little bit.
You've heard the testimony of Miss Levitt, correct?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
What do you want to happen with regards to your son?
Well, I don't have my own stable place right now to live. So, I mean, I'm not asking for him back right now or anything. Once I do establish that and have a job and have everything in order, we'll figure that out from there. But just for now, I would like to be able to see him and know if I am allowed to call him every day, or what stipulations I have and what I should do. I don't know if I'm supposed to ask or this or that. And it's kind of screwed me up and all that. So knowing what to do would help.
You had a visitation this last weekend, correct?
Yes.
There's been a complaint that you go a long period of time with no contact with your son.
That's not true. I have a lot of stuff on Zoom that I prove that I call him all the time. My mom calls him a lot. Buddy calls him, and I have called way more than that. And I can submit that to the courts if I need to. And I was only told I could call twice a week, so I wasn't sure if I was supposed to call more than that or not. I'm more than willing to call every day.
All right, and then you want some regular contact with your son.
Yes, please.
What is your suggestion?
Whatever she's comfortable with. If that's, going over there for a little while, or, me and dad being together and taking him to the park, or doing me and him separately, whatever she thinks is good and she's comfortable with.
All right. She indicated that you're living in a shed behind your dad's house. What is your living condition?
That's not true. I've been staying with my mom.
Okay, and your lives in Kelso, correct?
Yes.
But go ahead. Ultimately, what are you going to do with regards to your living situation?
I have an interview coming up, so I'm hoping that I get the job. And as soon as I get that, I have a good credit score. I could go buy a house if I want. So, plan on either renting or buying, and then keeping the job.
Okay. And until you have your housing situated, you don't have a problem with your son staying with the Levitts. You just want regular visitation and phone contact and various other things. Is that correct?
Yes. Definitely. I'm grateful for her helping out and giving him a stable place while I don't have one.
There's allegations by the petitioners with regards to lack of medical care and dental care and mental health. What's your response to those allegations?
What are they? Because I don't understand, because I never got in trouble with CPS. I've had a ton of cases. All my kids have had all their medical stuff taken care of. He had glasses before he went with her. He had his teeth taken care of. He'd been to the dentist, everything. I don't understand. He has 2 caps he needed done. And I already knew that before she had a visitation and served me with these papers. So I'm not really sure what that is.
All right.
Because even when Lance was born, there was an open CPS case because he was so small, and even the dietitian and everything didn't find anything wrong with him. We did start giving him the Pediasure. We made sure that he ate first and then got the Pediasure, but he hasn't, he's just a slow grower, but I don't know how much. He didn't seem like he'd grown too much since I'd seen him last.
Well, in any event, at this particular time, you're not opposed to the guardianship, but once you solve the housing, you want him returned to your care.
Yes, sir.
I don't think I have any other questions, Robert.
All right, thank you. Ms. Levitt, any response to any of that?
Oh, I could respond a lot. I think I'll just leave it the way it is. I told my side of the story and I was truthful. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay. Ms. Barnes, I want to ask you a question.
Yep.
In terms of visitation, can you and Mr. Lewis do that together, or do you think I should establish separate times for the two of you?
We can do it together.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Is there any closing that you'd like to make, Mr. Anagnosti?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So let me go over what we're here about today. So the request is for an emergency minor guardianship order. That order initially lasts for 60 days, and it can be extended one time for another 60 days. If Ms. Levitt, you feel a guardianship should go on longer than 120 days, then you'd have to file for what's called a full guardianship, and that would be another petition. So you may want to keep that in mind. What we have is Mr. Lewis indicating that he consents to Ms. Levitt being an emergency minor guardian. And Ms. Barnes has essentially indicated the same thing, that she's not in a position to take care of Lance at this point. She appreciates what Ms. Levitt is doing, but she both would like visitation and would not like this to be permanent because she thinks her living arrangement is going to change in the future. Let me go over what the standard is. So when a petition is filed, then the court may appoint an emergency guardian for the minor if the court finds subpart A, appointment of the emergency guardian is likely to prevent substantial harm to the minor's health, safety, or welfare. And B, no other person appears to have authority, ability, and willingness to act to prevent substantial harm to the minor's health, safety, or welfare. All of that has to be proved by clear and convincing evidence. So first of all, with the consent, I think that we really don't have to discuss the issues with the father. The general issues that have been testified to. So apparently, maybe around the time the petition was filed, the parents were homeless. I understand the mother's moved in with her mother now. That Lance has had some behavioral issues, that his front teeth needed to be capped. And since Miss Levitt has had Lance, there's apparently been limited actual visits with him by the mother. She's indicated that she's talked to him on Zoom numerous times. Ms. Levitt has enrolled him in preschool, has taken care of his insurance, has provided his own room. And there's no testimony that the mothers would be able to provide those things. So even though both parents certainly would have the authority, and the mother is here indicating her willingness, what I'm going to find by clear and convincing evidence is at this time, she doesn't have the ability to prevent substantial harm to the minor's health, safety, or welfare. And based on that, I'm going to grant the emergency minor guardianship petition. Let me just throw out something initially, and that would be a visit every Saturday from 10 to 4, if that would work for the parties. And I think also a Wednesday or some weekday visit, if Wednesday works, great, from something like 5 to 7. Would that work? Okay. And then Ms. Barnes has indicated she's done some Zooming or telephone calling with Lance. I would like to see that continue. If it's easier for Ms. Levitt, we can adopt a schedule, or she can just do it when she wants. Okay, so I'm going to indicate unlimited telephone calls or Zoom, so that they can just remain in touch. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm I don't know that a full guardianship is going to be granted down the road, so I think it's really important at this time that they're there is contact maintained with Lance. Ms. Day, it sounds like you want to say something.
No, Your Honor, I don't object. I think visitation is important, even if a full guardianship is granted later. It's always good and healthy for a child to have contact with their parent. 10 to 4 might be difficult if housing is a challenge. So I don't want either of the parents to be faulted if they don't use the whole time. I just would agree with Ms. Levitt. It needs to be consistent. So if they can't use all 6 hours and they only can do 2 hours on the weekend, then it should be 2 hours consistently. I don't want them to be faulted for that because housing makes that difficult. Right now it's summer, things are easy, but you know, outside visits are good, but it may not be that way. So that would be the thing that I would add. And then I think that was the only thing I was going to add as far as visits.
All right, thank you. Mr. Anagnostic, anything you want to add as far as the visits?
Basically just the same comment that client would like it to be flexible so that she could contact Ms. Levitt and work out visitation. We can set these as kind of guidelines, but then if the parties discuss and agree to other days and times, that would be okay.
Ms. Levitt, what do you think about having some flexibility in the?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Then, Your Honor, I'm going to need to get off so I can get to my next appointment, but I want to let you know I'll be submitting my declaration for fees so that could be included in the temporary order.
Okay, that'll be great.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And I will put in the bench order the Saturday and Wednesday or when otherwise agreed.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, I appreciate everyone's flexibility. I think at least the emergency minor guardianship really fits the situation where both parents need a little bit of space in order to get things in order. And hopefully at the end of 60 or 120 days, there can be a transition back to
sure.
with the parents. And so that's what we'll be looking for. Ms. Levitt, you know, you're certainly free to file for a full guardianship, and maybe that would be a good idea just in case there needs to be more time. But for right now, I think this is the right decision, and I appreciate everybody's cooperation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when do we come back to court?
Thank you.
I should probably check in to see how the visitation's going. So would June 27th be okay? That'd be a month from now.
That's fine.
So
Mondays and Fridays work best for Ms. Levitt because she has those days off. So
well, and these are only heard on Tuesday and Thursday, and actually this case would be heard on a Tuesday. So I'm gonna have it on June 27th.
Okay.
And
At
that's
10:30, okay?
And that's a review of basically how the visitation is going.
Yeah, just to review the visitation, the 60 days, it'll be right in the middle of that 60-day period.
Right.
We'll probably set another review just before the 60 days expires to determine if we need to extend it.
Right.
Okay. All right. Any questions, Ms. Levitt?
Nope.
Mr. Lewis?
nope, everything's. I'm happy that my mom can take my son right now while I can't. So.
Okay. Ms. Barnes, any questions?
Nope, that pretty much sums it up.
All right. And Mr. Anagnostic?
No, I'm
okay.
Fine.
All right. Okay, so we're going to move to number 3, which is 234-000-8108, guardianship of Lance Lewis.
They were already asking for
on this case, I see, sir, you represent, is it Monique Barnes and Gary Lewis?
I represent Monique Barnes, the mother.
Okay. All right. And I do see in this case, I did receive a declaration affidavit since the last time you folks were in front of Commissioner Nelson of Gail Levitt. Is Gail Levitt on Zoom as well?
Boy, Hope knows. What's up, Hope knows?
All right, if I'm going to start muting people, if you're not muting yourselves.
So Miss Levitt is here, but she is muted.
Okay, I'm going to start muting some people. Ms. Levitt, if you can hear the board, I'm asking you to unmute
She goes,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Good morning.
Brian, if you're logged in with the name Brian, please mute. I'm trying to get to his name to mute him. Here we go. Okay. All right. So is my notes show this is on for a review hearing. It looks like the last order I have is dated May 30th, where Commissioner Nelson addressed visitation. I have a declaration affidavit in front of me requesting that visitation cease, is what I understand. Ms. Levitt, is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Really?
So how are the parties asking to proceed on this case?
I would ask that the visits continue.
Who's speaking right now?
This is Gary Lewis.
Okay. Is there a position on behalf of Monique Barnes?
Yes, Your Honor. It's my understanding that my client is getting residential time of visitation. And I was looking for my notes on that. And she just wanted to see if there was some way we could expand that to potentially go to overnights. She's getting day visits, is what I recall. Yeah, she's getting 2 hours Saturdays from 9 to 4. And she believes that they're going great and would like to see an expansion of residential time.
And I'm just looking at the original order here real quick. Okay, so I guess Ms. Levitt, this appears to be your motion to terminate visitation. Are you applying that request to both parties, both parents, or just one?
Well, for right now, I just really need to get him back in this whole visitation thing. We have had a terrible month. He doesn't understand. He comes home a complete disaster area. They don't pick him up on time. They don't bring him home on time. And then it takes me 3 days at least to get him where he's okay. I've got him in counseling. This poor little boy has been so messed up. And I am working my butt off to try to fix all of this. I've got him into counseling. I've had an IEP done, took him to the dentist. He had 14 caps done on his teeth. He has not been taken care of the way that he should be. So what I'm suggesting is give me a 30-day no contact order with either of them. Let me see how far I can progress for this little boy.
And then what?
Hold on. I will ask you to respond, sir, when I'm ready for you. This is her turn to speak. Don't worry, I will come to you. Go ahead.
Okay, so these visits are not doing him any good. I realize his parents love him. I hate doing this. This is not what I want to do at all. But it is my job to watch out for his well-being. And this is not helping him. Not helping at all. We finally had a good day at school after 3 months. And he got to see his parents on a Monday. And he was kicked out of WeCare daycare on Tuesday. He was throwing chairs at teachers. He just is having a really hard time understanding. You know, he loves his parents. I get that. They love him, but they're not capable of taking care of him. They're living in a shed with an extension cord. I am not going to let my grandson sleep in a shed with an extension cord. That's just not safe.
Is he doing overnights with them or?
No. Well, one time, and they promised me he'd be sleeping in Grandpa's trailer, and he did not sleep in Grandpa's trailer. He slept in the shed. Well, how many fires have we had recently? And people die from extension cords.
Is there, ma'am, would you be in agreement with any modification of visitation? Because it looks like the order signed May 30th, so just about 30 days ago,
Right.
Allowed specific visitation times, but then put in a clause or at other times as agreed to by the parties.
Well, because they were saying that they were going to get jobs and, you know, this and that. And would I work with that? Absolutely, I would.
Mm-hmm.
But neither of them have made any progress on getting their lives together. So.
And is the minor currently in counseling, or that's something that you're thinking?
Yes. We go to counseling every Monday morning at 9.
Okay.
At Core Health.
Oh, hold on. We might have lost a participant. Hold on. Hold on. We lost an attorney for Ms. Barnes. Let's wait and have him jump in here in just a minute. And Ms. Day, I know you were previously on this case. You've concluded your work in this matter, correct?
I was appointed only initially as the court visitor, not as the guardian ad litem. So yes, I have concluded as a court visitor,
okay. But
based on the motion that was filed and the information that I have, it probably would make sense to have a guardian ad litem appointed, whether that was me or somebody else. There does seem to be quite a few issues going on.
I appreciate that input. Thank you. Okay, looks like you're back with us. Oh.
Yes, I apologize. My power cord got unplugged.
That happens. I'm not sure. We weren't sure if we noticed right when you fell off. I did have the other party stop talking as soon as I realized it. Can you tell me kind of the last thing you heard?
The Miss Levitt, the party who has custody, had just finished up, and you were turning it over to Gary Lewis to talk.
Okay, thank you. So Mr. Lewis, let's turn to you, and then I'll also just add briefly while we were waiting to log back on, I asked Ms. Day, I saw that she had previously been a court visitor on this file. I asked if she was still involved, and she said no, because she had been a court visitor, but a recommendation she made was perhaps to appoint a GAL given the issues going on right now. Right. So that happened, and that's all that's happened while you were logged off. Okay, Mr. Lewis, go ahead.
I signed paperwork for my mom to have him. I would like to cease that paperwork since this is since she's wanting to go this route with visitations being ceased. My son misses us tremendously. So what's that going to do if 30 days? So then what? We need our visitations with our son, whether we go to a park. I mean, no, absolutely not. That should not happen at all. Whether she makes progress with him or not. I mean, so my brother had 21 cavities, okay? 21 cavities under my mom's supervision when I was growing up. So what is that? I mean, so there you go. Whatever. I understand. I brought my son over there for him to be looked over for my mom, but like that was in the understanding that I would get visits, but this is not for her to cease visits.
Okay. Anything else you want the court to know, sir?
I am currently looking for work. So, I mean, I'm trying to better my life,
okay. But
that doesn't, just because I'm down and out right now, doesn't mean I shouldn't be able to see my son and that he shouldn't be able to see me.
Understood. And then on behalf of Ms. Barnes, what is the, is there any response to the petitioner's request?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, I would just confirm Mr. Lewis's comments. My client has indicated, I thought the visits were going good. It's kind of surprising from Ms. Levis that they are not. And, you know, my client and the father have constitutional rights to the custody and visitation. And Ms. Levitt has, you know, taken this on, and she's got to understand that if, you know, if at all possible, the child needs to be reunified back with the parents. And her just unilaterally wanting to cease visitation is not, you know, if she doesn't like the job that she's taken on, which is providing basically temporary help until the parents are able to have full custody returned to them, then she shouldn't have taken on that job. But that's the job. She is, you know, the statute is designed to promote parents if they are willing and able to care for their child. And my clients are working on that. And willing doesn't mean that she gets to unilaterally say, well, you're not going to see him for a month or so because I don't like how the visits are going. She's got to promote that relationship.
Thank you. So here's going to be my ruling, two-part. First, I do very much agree that at this point we will appoint a GAL and set a review hearing just to kind of wade through this visitation issue specifically in a little more detail. Ms. Day, are you open to that appointment?
I'm not currently on the list, Your Honor, but I would continue in this case if that was what you ordered.
Okay. Is there any objection from the parties to appointing Ms. Day?
There's none from Ms. Barnes.
Mr. Lewis?
No, it's fine.
Okay, and Ms. Levitt?
Yes, I like Tina. She's very good at what she does.
Okay, so you're not objecting?
No.
Okay. And then what I'll do, we'll start talking about a review date based on timing in just a minute. I did read the material, Ms. Levitt. I appreciate you providing that to the court. I read your declaration. I read the diary that you attached to it. I do understand counsel's argument, however, in that, you know, this is a very difficult role. I feel for you. I understand that this is very difficult. I think that anytime a child is going to go through this type of proceeding, probably when they get back from visitation with their parents, there is going to be a bit of acting out. I think that's very, very common. I would note that, you know, Commissioner Nelson did just put the visitation order into place less than 30 days ago. I think we do need to give it some time for this kiddo. So I'm not going to make changes to visitation right now. I will revisit that issue upon receipt of GAL input, because certainly they will have more insight into the parties and the kiddo than I do sitting here without, you know, access to talking to especially the minor child and the parents. So I do think balancing the constitutional right these parents have, but also understanding that a emergency minor guardianship has been put into place. I think the restrictions on visitation right now are appropriate. I do, ma'am, understand your concerns about overnight visits. And I think that my oral ruling is going to be that I do not want the child to spend overnights with the parents. The current order states that any times outside of those Saturday and Wednesday visits have to be agreed to by parties. So I don't think I need to issue a new order. But ma'am, I would just tell you, you have the court's support to not agree to overnight visits. I don't think right now that's in the child's best interest. Okay. So and again, I'll ask, especially counsel and Ms. Day, typically would Mr. Nelson go ahead and fill out the order appointing GAL in a situation like this?
Yes, generally that's the case.
Okay, I will get that. I'll get that filled out and filed. Oh, go ahead.
Your Honor, I would actually like to have you appoint someone else other than Miss Day. I think her and my mom I think she might be a little biased because she knows my mom. So I would like you to appoint somebody else.
Okay, well, I've already issued my ruling. We're gonna stick with Ms. Day. It sounds like your objection is just based on your mom saying that she likes Ms. Day. I don't find that that's good cause to change the GAL I've already appointed.
Okay.
So I'm going to sign that order. Sir, I will just mention, since you are unrepresented, you did bring up wanting to terminate this guardianship altogether. I'm not going to rule on that because it's not before me except on oral discussion from you. But certainly I wanted to acknowledge it and let you know if that is a motion you want to make, you can bring that motion in front of this court and have it set on for a later date, and then we could discuss that topic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else from the parties on this matter?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
So just briefly, as everybody's talking about a motion from Ms. Levitt, I have no idea what anybody's talking about. I apparently was not served with a motion. And I'm wondering, part of the problem is the only documents I have is an emergency guardianship, and there's been no main, I call them the main guardianship or overall guardianship action that's been filed, I believe.
The last, what we are working off of is the order on emergency minor guardianship petition.
Right.
And then there was the order, the bench order for visitation signed on May 31st.
Right.
That's all I have.
Okay, that's all I have too. Okay, so there isn't a motion. I thought we were talking about something that had been filed other than what I have.
He's talking about the declaration.
Yeah, there wasn't a formal motion. It was a review for visits, and Miss Levitt had filed stuff with the court, and I didn't realize that you were not served, Mr. Anagnostou. I will fax you over a copy of that just so you have it.
Okay.
And it was just a history of how the visits had gone for the last 30 days and her request to address them.
Got it.
And yeah, that's an excellent point. I did not realize you were not served with that declaration affidavit either regarding visitation. So had I changed visitation, I probably would say you didn't receive proper notice and I would reschedule this. But since I'm not approving her request, I don't think you've been prejudiced by not receiving that today. Is that okay with you? Do you have any objection to that?
No, I have no objection to that. That's
okay.
Particularly why I brought it up was because there hadn't been a change, but I was just wondering what had been filed.
Yeah, perfect. I appreciate you bringing that up. And then that does bring up a point. We have the order on the emergency minor guardianship. And the review date for that was, the first review date for that was today.
Right.
What are the parties wanting to set? We're now going to have a GAL with some input. What is the next date that the parties want to review this matter?
3-4 weeks out. Give Miss Day an opportunity.
I think that gives me plenty of time at least to address any ongoing visitation issues and hopefully meet with the parents. I've had no contact with Mr. Lewis during the course of this matter, and very limited contact with Miss Barnes.
Okay. So would Tuesday, the 25th docket, the 10:30 docket work for the parties?
Yeah, that's fine.
Could we do the first, Your Honor? I'm out of town that week.
Yes. Will August 1st work for you?
That works for me, Mr. Anagnosti. Does that work for you?
That works for me. Yeah.
And then we've got the order of, I think, May 30, setting the emergency minor guardianship. Is there something we need to do today to extend that through August 1st? Is my question.
I would think you would need another order that extended it through that, and then Ms. Levitt will have to decide if she's going to continue and then potentially file for a full guardianship, but that the emergency should extend through that hearing.
So you got 60 days from May 30th, so June 30th, July, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, is that we do need an extension through that hearing date. Is that something that the parties, it looks like we only have one counsel on this case, that you would like the court to prepare and file?
That's usually how Commissioner Nelson handles it.
Okay.
He prepares an order extending the emergency guardianship to the hearing. You can do that. You can actually extend it a full 60 days for one, so 2 full 60-day periods, but he usually just extends it to the hearing to decide if there's going to be, if it's going to go beyond that.
Yeah, and I think that's would be my proposal for the parties, is that we extend this to August 1st. I'm certainly happy to prepare that order. Ms. Levitt, let me check in with you. Are you willing to stay on as the emergency guardian?
Oh, absolutely.
Through August 1st, okay. My own.
And Your Honor, can I just ask this? I mean, this.
Go ahead.
They don't even have a house. They have nowhere for this little boy to live. So I don't understand why we're even having all of this. You know what I mean?
Well, I think I can sort of answer that for you. Right now, we're in an emergency minor guardianship place. And in this type of place, as counsel noted, reunification with the parents, if it is feasible, is very much something the court looks at. I think you've heard a few people mention perhaps you needing to file for a full guardianship.
I've got the paperwork.
Yeah, I'm certainly not here to give legal advice.
Right.
Be overstepping my role, but you have heard people mention that. So at this point in the stage that we're in and the stage this case is in, the court is doing, walking a very tightrope and a balancing act of the parents' interest, what's best for the minor child. And we certainly appreciate, your willingness to continue in this role and support all of the parties. So the court does thank you for that.
Okay, I do have a request because I have to take Tuesdays off. So it costs me like $150 once a month now. Could we be possibly the first on your case on August 1st?
I can't promise that, depending on other things that come up, but when you log on August 1st, if you want to shoot a little chat message to the court as a reminder that you have to, log off early for work, please do that, and we will take your case as quickly as we can.
Okay, so what is that I need to do? Send you a note?
Yep, so if you see on your Zoom, there's a little chat feature. Do you see that?
Okay.
You can just send a chat.
Okay.
And it'll go to the court, and you could just say who you are, what case you're here on, and that you have a work obligation.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so on this case, I will get 2 orders signed and filed. One appointing Tina Day, and the second extending the emergency minor guardianship, keeping Ms. Levitt as emergency guardian. Anything else we need to do on this matter today?
No, I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for your input.
Thank you.
regarding visitation and the GAL report. Let me open up my digital file here quickly.
I represent the mother, Monique Barnes, in this matter.
Okay.
And the court visitor is Miss Day.
And I see we have Ms. Day there. Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
So the last time we were together on June 27th, this is when I signed an order appointing our GAL. At that time, I did decline to modify any visitation, kind of pending GAL review. Obviously, I understand that's not a whole lot of time for everything to get done. So I'll turn it over to the parties, maybe Ms. Day first, and let me know where you're at.
Okay, so initially I was appointed as the court visitor, and that was changed to a guardian ad litem at our last hearing. So I've been appointed as the guardian ad litem. I have, since this matter began in March, had almost no contact with the parties. Since our last hearing, I received a phone call from father, which I returned as promptly as possible. I've had no contact with mother. When I called father back, I got no return. So I've not met with either of the parents still. So we are still kind of at this standstill place. I would have the petitioner give kind of an update on how the visits are going. School is going to be starting in just a few weeks. And moving forward, I think that we need to maybe address some of those kinds of concerns, but I'm just at a loss as to what to do. I cannot force the parents to participate, and they just have not.
Yeah, Mr. Anagnosto, you want to weigh in here?
Kind of the same sentiments, Your Honor. I was appointed to represent Monique Barnes. I have had some minimal contact with her. I've been trying to reach her, though, to go forward with this action. I noticed that she is here today, which is good, but I would need to talk to her about going forward.
Ms. Barnes, are you able to unmute and turn your video on? Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So I'm not going to inquire into any attorney-client privileged information, so I'm just going to talk to you.
Sorry, hold on. I can't hear. 1 second.
Sorry about that, Your Honor.
And do we have a full petition filed, a motion for a full petition filed in this case?
I don't
sorry,
believe
what was that?
I don't believe it's been filed yet. I believe that the petitioner is working on the full guardianship based on how the emergency has gone. Yes. I think that's in process.
Okay.
And as my understanding, we're working off extending the emergency minor guardianship, which was extended to today's date.
Yeah, we did the original petition I see was approved May 30th. We extended it for the 60 days to today. So what it sounds like I need to do is do my essentially last extension I can do unless we're pending a hearing. So I think for Ms. Levitt, for you to know, I do need before our next hearing that full guardianship petition filed. Otherwise, the statute essentially ties my hands. I don't have a lot of discretion to keep extending the emergency minor. Okay.
Well, they don't have anywhere to live, so.
I understand that. So what I'm saying is I need you to get the full petition in, because as much as I will exercise as much discretion as I can, but I also am bound by the statute. So if there is not a full petition filed, my hands are really tied as to how many times I can continue an emergency order. Okay. Once you file that full petition, I have a little more discretion. Okay. So I want to make sure that's one thing I'm going to ask you to do. I want to go back to Ms. Barnes. Can you hear the court, Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Okay. So Ms. Barnes, in order for this process to work, two things the court needs from you. One is staying in contact with your attorney. Okay. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing is staying in contact and responding to the guardian ad litem, Ms. Day. Okay.
Yes.
Those are two very important things, both for you and your case, but also for the well-being of the child so that the court makes the right decision. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions you have for the court, Ms. Barnes?
No.
Okay. So Mr. Anagnosto and Ms. Day and Ms. Levitt, What I'm inclined to do, given where we're at, is extend this emergency minor guardianship for a second 60-day period. I would set a review hearing 30 days out just to see where we are on that full petition being filed, and essentially Ms. Barnes' compliance with the GAL, et cetera. How does that sound to the parties, especially Ms. Day, Mr. Anagnosto, on behalf of Ms. Barnes?
I think it's imperative that we do have an extension. For the court's information, I will be on vacation starting the 8th of August, and I won't be returning until September 1st.
Okay.
So I have very limited time to see the parties before vacation, or they will have to wait until I return. And then I would ask that I have until at least the end of September to provide information to the court. Hopefully by then I would have information to provide and contact with the parents. But that's,
Okay.
that's for both of the parents. They need to participate.
Yeah. Is Mr. Raymond on?
Mr. Lewis.
Oh, Mr. Lewis.
Yeah,
Thank
get
you.
it.
I was looking at your middle name. Thank you. Mr. Lewis, kind of same goes for you. Your active participation with the GAL is vital to the court making the right decision.
My audio just came back in.
Okay. Did you hear what I said?
I didn't hear what you said,
Okay.
and it was on Miss Day when it went out.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that just like I said to Ms. Barnes, your cooperation and contact with Ms. Day really is imperative to the court ultimately making the right decision in this case. Okay.
Understandable.
Okay. So Ms. Day, remind me I will extend the minor guardianship another 60 days. What would work for you, Ms. Day, for a review date before that 60-day expiration, if anything? And I don't care if it's exactly 30 days or 45.
If we could go out to the 19th, I would be able to have information to the court by then. That will give me time to hopefully meet with both the parents, even potentially observe a visit if possible. Again, because of my vacation, that kind of limits my time, but I will do my best to make sure to get something put together that says what the efforts have been on everybody's part, hopefully positively.
Understood. Mr. Anagnosto, does September 19th at 10:30 work for you?
Yes, that works for me. Is that fall judicial conference?
Oh, is it? Yeah, it is. Will we be doing this docket?
No,
No.
On the Thursday we would be, so the 21st.
Okay.
Then can we go out to the 26th?
Yeah, let's just to be safe. Yeah. So thank you, Mr. Anagnosto. The court did confirm that. So it will be September 26th at 10:30. Will that work for the parties?
Yes.
Then it works for me, Your Honor.
Okay. And then Ms. Barnes and Mr. Lewis, what that means is our next court date on Zoom will be September 26th at 10:30 a.m.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
And my understanding is the parents are getting visitation. I don't think there's any formal order, and I'm not sure if we need one or if we want to discuss that at this point.
I believe there is a formal order from the prior hearing.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just look here. When I did
I think it was from the May 30th, Your Honor, prior to
yeah,
your...
and I did know, I did circle visitation on my extension order, and I said, okay, thank you, Ms. Day. I do see that. It says the parents' visitation shall be as follows. And I said, see bench order May 30th. So let me go there, make sure we have everything covered. The bench order regarding visitation from Commissioner Nelson is still the visitation with the minor every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., every Wednesday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., or at other times as agreed to by the parties. In addition, the parents may have unlimited Zoom and telephone contact with the minor. Is that working okay for the parties for the time being?
Your Honor, if I may, every single phone call that I have with my son, within 30 seconds, sometimes like within 5 minutes, my mom is saying, okay, hang up with dad, tell dad goodbye. So, I mean, it's being like every single time. It's like, I can't talk to my son for 2 minutes without her going, okay, tell dad goodbye, tell dad goodbye.
Okay.
We were supposed to have unlimited time, right?
It does state, so Ms. Levitt, I guess I would just say that, the order from the prior judicial officer is there really are no limits on the Zoom and telephone calls. Obviously, parties, please use your best discretion. This should not be something that's taking up the day and interfering with the child's activities with the guardian and that sort of thing. But Ms. Levitt, I do think it is realistic to allow those to happen for more than, a minute to 5 minutes. Okay. I can't hear you, Ms. Levitt, but I think you agreed with that. Just give me a thumbs up. Okay. Yeah, I just don't have audio from you. Okay. So we can, I'll just make a note that we can kind of check in on whether the telephone visitation is going better when we get together in September. Okay. And then Ms. Levitt, your homework really is to get that full guardianship filed. Okay. Otherwise, my hands are going to be a little tied once we hit our next review date.
It'll
Okay.
be done.
Okay. All right. Anything else from the parties on this matter?
No, Your Honor.
No, you're
Okay. All right. Thank you all. So Ms. Barnes, Mr. Lewis, Ms. Levitt, you are free to log out. When I looked at this, one of the things we were waiting on was to see if a full petition request has been filed. And I believe that it has now.
That's correct, Your Honor. That has been filed, and I believe everybody's been served. And petitioner, Ms. Levitt, may have an update for us from this morning.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Levitt.
Hi. Well, I talked to Kurt yesterday, or was it this morning? Whatever. And Monique is evidently going to sign off, which makes me very happy. So the only thing she wants Wednesdays from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and she wants every weekend. I'm willing to give her every other weekend because she now is living with her mother in an apartment in Castle Rock, which he'd have to sleep on the couch, but she's got somewhere for him to visit her. I'm doing the every other weekend because I have to let his dad see him also. So I think we're all kind of working together on this.
Okay. So, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I apologize, Your Honor, but that's correct. We yesterday we were talking about potentially trying to resolve on the main guardianship case on a long-term basis, so I was wondering if we could set this over a couple of weeks. Miss Day, I think, would need to potentially weigh in on this settlement, and I haven't had an opportunity to talk to her about it, but I think we're close to having a resolution.
Yeah, I think that does sound very promising. I really appreciate the parties working together on this. I think the best thing to do, especially since I do have some time now that the full petition has been filed, I can reissue the extended emergency minor guardianship through the date of the hearing on the full petition. And then we'll set this case on for a couple weeks out to see if we have resolution on all issues.
I was thinking we had resolution.
Sounds like there might be a couple sticking points. I'm going to give you guys a little more time.
Like, what would that mean?
Well,
Mr. Anagnosto, how much time?
I think 2 weeks. As Ms. Levitt reported, my client requested every weekend. I'm just hearing today that it would be every other. I would need to talk to her about that.
Right.
And then Miss Day, I think, would need to know what's going on. And so if we could just get 2 weeks to potentially iron out the details, that would we could get this resolved.
Yeah.
And Ms. Levitt, that would allow everybody to review and then sign off. We may not even need to come back. If everybody signed, the orders could be presented.
Correct.
Okay. I think, Ms. Levitt, that makes a lot of sense to me for all the parties working together. So let's go ahead and regroup on this case on October 10th. I will extend the emergency order through the potential hearing on the full petition. I don't think we'll need to go that far. And hopefully on the 10th, we'll be able to resolve all issues. Okay.
Your Honor, if I may,
go ahead, sir.
It's a short period of time. I was never issued a court-appointed attorney. So, I mean, somebody advised me that I should maybe get one.
Okay. You're Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Okay. And you are the father in this matter?
Correct.
Okay. Have you been working with the parties on this potential resolution?
Yes and no. I don't want to get into it because I don't want
Yeah.
to stir the pot.
Well, so I just want to be clear. I mean, in all likelihood, you were not appointed an attorney because you filed
Signed off.
you filed a consent to the minor guardianship. Has that changed?
I didn't drop him off to my mom's to be vetoed out of his life. That's all I'm saying. I hardly ever get to see him anymore. I'm not allowed at the house where my son is being raised. The husband of my mother, Roy Levitt, is a complete, he does not like me one bit at all. He goes out of his way to make sure that I am unhappy with my visits, whether that's calling the police on me every last 5 times I've dropped him off.
Okay. So just to be clear, these, and you've been in front of me several times. I just want to be clear. You are making a request to be screened for an attorney.
Yes.
Okay. Are you at this point considering rescinding the consent you signed on March 23 of 2023?
At this point, yes, I am.
Okay. Let me ask you some questions about your income. Do you receive any sort of state assistance?
Just the food stamps.
Okay. Well, with receiving food stamps, you would qualify for an attorney appointed through the courts. I don't know who that person will be. Court administration will have to determine that and send you that information. I will get an order appointing done today. Given this, I guess councils, we may want to set this out a little further than 2 weeks. What do you think?
Well, I guess my thought is potentially we could resolve the case with regards to my client and leave Mr. Levitt's part of it open for appointment of counsel and pursuing some other remedies.
So are you thinking you want, for your client's sake, you want to keep the review date of 10/10 on for now?
I would.
Okay.
My client's very interested in getting this matter resolved.
Okay.
And I think Miss Gail Levitt, the petitioner, is in the same boat. But
Okay.
if Mr. Lewis wants to pursue other remedies, then yeah, he has the right to counsel and pursuing those. But
Okay.
May I say something, please?
On what topic?
Well, he doesn't have a home or a job.
Oh, yes. So I don't, ma'am. He's asked for an attorney to preserve his rights in this proceeding. He is the biologic father. I'm not going to let us talk about the merits now that he's requested an attorney and potentially wants to revoke consent. So I'm going to go ahead and appoint. When we come back and he is with that attorney, we'll go ahead and take this argument. Okay. Okay. So we'll see you all back on 10/10. I'll get an order appointing and I'll reissue. We might.
This is Tina Day. Do
Yes.
you have the Leaper matter, or I'm sorry, the Lewis matter scheduled?
I do have the Lance Lewis matter scheduled.
Okay.
Yes.
That matter is also scheduled for Thursday, and Mr. Lee and Miss Levitt have asked to have it set, all of it set over to Thursday, if that's okay.
I think that should be just fine. Let me jump into Thursday's docket just to see if I need to do any sort of order to get us there. Thank you for being here and bringing that to my attention. This will be number 2 on my docket, 234-000-8108. And I did see that the court just recently appointed Mr. Lee. And let's see what we have. The order extending goes through today. So let me go ahead. I'll strike today. I will keep the October 12th hearing on, and I'll just extend the emergency order ex parte through that date.
Perfect. Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'll let everyone know.
Okay, thanks so much.
well, Your Honor, I'm on that case and I see that my client is here.
Oh, I did not catch that. I apologize. Were you planning on having this heard
Oh, wait, no.
on Thursday?
I'm getting this mixed up with the other case.
Okay.
No, that's fine. We can go ahead and set this over.
Is that okay? Okay,
Yeah.
thanks for jumping in there too. Okay, I'll just get that extended 2 days and keep you all on the Thursday docket.
Guardianship of Lance Lewis.
I'm here on that.
Your Honor.
I'm here on that matter, Your Honor.
I'm also here on that matter.
Where is that?
Okay, whoever's got all the noise going in the background.
Thank you.
Can you unplug that, Nicole?
Miss Levitt, you need to shut off whatever's going on in the background before you get back on. Thank you.
I did. Sorry.
So Your Honor, to basically get up to date on this case, my client has been getting, I think, every weekend with the child, and was looking toward a resolution kind of along those lines. But the father, Mr. Lewis, wanted court-appointed counsel, and I believe he has court-appointed counsel now, but I'm not sure where we're on that.
Mr. Lee?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, late last week, the court notified me that I was court-appointed counsel and for the father, and I've not yet spoken with Mr. Lewis about this matter, but it's my or Mr. Anagnostou yet. But here we are today, and I guess before we proceed, I was going to defer as well to Ms. Day and to have her weigh in along with Mr. Anagnostou further.
Okay, well, Mr. Lewis, why haven't you spoken to your attorney yet?
I just recently got full-time employment.
What's that have to do with it?
I didn't know that he was my attorney, so.
Mr. Lewis, it's time to be a little more proactive. I'm really disinclined to continue this and incur all the expenses because you didn't bother to call your lawyer. You understand that?
I understand.
Ms. Day, where are we?
So, Your Honor, I've been involved in this matter since March 7th. I've had exactly zero contact from father. He has not participated or been involved, and he's indicated his agreement up until the most recent hearing where the attorney was appointed. I'm a little concerned and confused why we continue to have to come back again and again and again for this. I've had some contact with mom. She's working with her attorney. She thought we had agreement. I think the only issue here is visitation. And I think it's appropriate for this child to have, some contact with his parents, supervised due to their circumstances. But I don't think we need to continue to come back and come back and come back. It's an extreme waste of time for the court's resources as well as everybody else.
Okay, the other issue we have got is we are strictly on the emergency guardianship at this point. Mr. and Ms. Levitt, have you filed the petition for the full guardianship?
Yes, Your Honor, that has been filed, and today is I think the 21st day for that. That's why we set it over from Tuesday.
Okay. I don't have that one in front of me. Is that set for a hearing on that matter?
It was for today.
Yeah, yes, it is for today.
My understanding on main guardianship actions is that it requires going through the universal trial setting to set that matter for an actual hearing on what I call the main guardianship, the permanent guardianship part.
Yeah, and it doesn't show on my calendar here. Yeah.
I think that's accurate, Mr. Anagnostou. I think that this was filed and it was everybody's understanding that there was agreement until just a couple weeks ago. So I think if we still do not have agreement based on the plan that was filed, providing visitation for the parents, then I think we have to put it on the trial assignment docket if there's not going to be agreement.
And Ms. Levitt, is the other guardianship matter, the full guardianship, is that set for a hearing here in the near future?
I thought today was the day for that.
Okay, it wouldn't be on this calendar. When?
Yeah, today is for the full petition, and the emergency and the full minor, they're put in the same cause number.
Okay, yeah, I don't have. Okay. All right, well, given the vagaries of this statute and the way it's being handled, I see now that there is the full petition in here. I just did not see that before because I wasn't looking for it under the same cause number. And so, Mr. Anagnostou, that's proposing alternate Wednesday and Saturday for your client. Is that agreeable to your client at this point?
I believe so. At one point, she's there nodding her head. So,
is that correct, ma'am? Ms. Barnes, is that agreed?
Yes, yes, Your Honor. That's fine.
Okay.
And I believe that's the same schedule for the father as the alternate of that.
And Mr. Anagnostou, so on behalf of your client, you're agreeing to that, the guardianship with that proposed visitation, is that right?
Yes, that's the last conversation I had with my client. She agreed to that.
Okay, then here's what we need to do today. Ms. Levitt, we need the order appointing guardian that includes that visitation language as to Ms. Barnes. I'm not entering any order at this point as to Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis, you need to talk to Mr. Lee and you can request visitation time through this proceeding on a motion. You understand that?
Yes.
But if you don't follow through, nothing's going to happen. You understand that?
Yeah.
All right. So Ms. Levitt, I'm going to give you 2 weeks to put that paperwork, the final paperwork together. Do you think you have what you need in order to do that?
I have no idea. I thought I already did it.
I will help her make sure she has the final orders.
All right.
I think there's proposed orders in place, but I'll make sure that we go over them and provide them to all the parties.
All right. So now we'll put this on for the 26th then for presentation of those orders to give you time to put all that together, ma'am. You understand?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Ms. Farr is in the waiting room for one of the matters, so she wanted me to let you know that.
Thank you. Guardianship of Lance Lewis.
Good morning again, Your Honor. Counsel for the father.
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry, Kurt.
Yeah, counsel for the mother.
Do we have the Levitts here?
I'm here. The camera's not working, but I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And we are on for presentation of orders today.
Yes, Your Honor. I provided those in advance as they were completed by Ms. Levitt. I understood from previous hearings that this was agreed. I received notice late last night from Mr. Anagnostou that mother wanted some changes. I don't know if Ms. Levitt is agreeable to that, and I do not know what father's position is.
Your Honor, just to speak briefly, the father's amendable to more than amendable, actually, to entering into the agreed orders. I just haven't had a chance yet since I saw the mother's proposed non-substantive revisions to the order. I would just need to consult with my client. But again, to be clear, my client doesn't oppose entry of the orders today. I'm going to defer to Mr. Anagnostou now, though, for what his client's position is.
Mr. Anagnostou?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is in agreement to the guardianship. Basically the devil's in the details when it comes to the order. We had made, as indicated by counsel, that some non-substantive changes. The guardianship gets granted to Miss Levitt and her husband Roy, but kind of the terms of the details we had a couple of minor changes to them. I've initialed those and submitted them to everyone, and think that this is still an agreed guardianship.
And Your Honor, just to affirm that that's my understanding there too. It just seems that counsels and the court visitor need to all confer outside of the proceeding, just to make sure we're on the same page there.
Ms. Levitt, have you had a chance to look at the proposed amendments?
No, I did not.
So, Your Honor, from my perspective, one of the changes that was requested is that the petitioner provide notice to mother and information regarding school, any trips out of the area, that type of stuff, which I think is probably agreeable with Ms. Levitt. I don't want to speak for her, but I don't see any objection to that. The other changes are significant, in my opinion, just based on what it would require for Lance to go through. The current schedule as proposed is alternating weekends with mom and the opposite weekend with dad for day visits and a midweek visit. Those were the handwritten changes, included an overnight visit for mom and every weekend, which literally just imposes an untenable schedule for Lance. I think that it makes the most sense, and what was discussed and is probably the most manageable for Lance, who's a very young child, to have every other weekend contact with each of his parents and a midweek. I don't think it's appropriate for overnights at this time. I don't think we've progressed to that far. That's my input on the change in visitation. And then I think the other change has to do with findings. Mr. Anagnostou struck the findings regarding the mother with neglect. And I'll leave that up to the court to decide how they want to proceed with that.
Your Honor, we object to my client objected to being a finding of neglect. She doesn't believe she's ever been neglectful. She does have a housing issue, as some people end up with, having to live out of their car. But in any event, she's agreeable to the guardianship and does not believe that she committed neglect to her son. She's tried to stay in his life. And the visitation, my understanding, is what they've been doing. But maybe
it sounds to me like we're going to have to set an evidentiary hearing to sort these last few issues out. So when's the next?
I can't. We've been to court like 8 times. I'm trying to do everything that the court has asked me to. I just can't miss work anymore, you guys. It's costing me a fortune.
The problem is we are on today for presentation of agreed paperwork to finalize this. It sounds like it's not all agreed. Maybe a lot of it is, but not all of it. So the only option is to set a trial to sort those issues out. So when's our next? All right, so I'm putting it on the trial assignment calendar for November 8th at 1 o'clock.
Lance has a doctor appointment in Vancouver on that day.
Okay, well.
Miss Lewis, would you be okay if I appear and then I just share that information with you when the next earliest appointment date would be for the evidentiary hearing?
Oh, I don't have a problem with that at all, Tina.
And counsel, in the meantime, so we've got something in place. My proposal would be that I sign the orders as presented, noting that they're not completely agreed. They're just a placeholder till we can have that evidentiary hearing. Any objection to that? I'll note that the visitation schedule is not agreed.
That's what we want, is to be able to visit.
But with that, any objection, Mr. Anagnostou?
As long as we can reserve our requests in the final order that I've submitted, if those are still reserved for a hearing.
And Your Honor, I would ask the same then, just per my client's remarks there, since we had one as I emailed with counsel and the court visitor yesterday, my client just had one recommended revision with regards to adding his schedule. I would echo Mr. Agnostu's comments there.
All right, I'm noting not agreed on the neglect. Not agreed on the portion of the parenting plan relating to overnight.
Your Honor, I have been letting him spend the night with her every other weekend.
All right, and I'll sign the order with those caveats, and then November the 8th, 1 o'clock for trial assignment.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The parents must have agreed to the visitation schedule and a finding of neglect since the trial setting hearing was canceled, and this was the final hearing in the case before the full guardianship was appointed. The final entries in Odyssey show that the attorneys were then compensated and discharged. 2024 did not appear to improve Mom and Dad's circumstances, since Dad racked up all those criminal charges I showed you, and Mom found herself involved in yet another minor guardianship case with a different child and a different father. Now, let's watch that case.
Ms. Powers, you've got a matter 24-4-7608, guardianship of Veselak.
Thank you, Your Honor. I am here representing the petitioners. For the court's record, the petitioners are here in my office with me. We're here for the show cause hearing. We have been trying to serve the mother, Monique Barnes, and have been unsuccessful with that. We do have a phone number for her. We called her and she did answer. She offered to come to our office and accept service, but then she did not show up. She did provide an email address to us. We emailed her information about today's hearing. I don't know whether the court would prefer to appoint a court visitor or set this out a couple more weeks, and we'll email her all of the pleadings and try to make contact again. My understanding is that Ms. Barnes has been couch surfing, so we don't have an address to try physical service at unless we get additional information from her.
Okay. When I guess with the father's consented in this case, as I recall.
Yes, he has.
And we probably, with the child being 12, we probably need to appoint a visitor, don't we?
We certainly can. I'm not sure what the mother's position will be once we serve her.
Why don't we do that, and then we'll have that in place once we get Mom involved in the case if we need to.
Sounds good.
Won't drag things on. Do we know who's next, or do I have to get that back? Okay, so I'll do an order appointing. I don't know who that'll be right this second. I'll need to check with court administration after docket.
Do you want me to send over an order, or will you do one?
We have those orders. I'll just do one off the bench. I just don't have a name to give you right now anyway. So, but what we will need to do, we have a temporary order in this, don't we?
And we did an immediate emergency order if the court could extend that. We did also file a motion for an emergency order, but I don't think the court can enter that before the mom's served.
Okay. Looks like that was done 2/28. So if we could, do you want to prepare another order up on that, extending that out, and we could go out?
I can do that.
Do you want to go 2 weeks or 3 weeks on this one?
Maybe let's do 3 weeks. That'll give the court visitor a little bit of time to get up to speed.
I think that makes sense. So we'll set it for the 10:30 on the 26th of March. And if you want to prepare just an extended immediate order, and then that can be sent over via email, and I'll get that entered with the court.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Okay, that was, let me make sure I get, that is all on that matter. The guardianship of Alana Veselak, which is 24-4-7608. This is Miss Turnbull, I believe, and Miss Powers.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm here representing the petitioners, the Pedons. Ms. Pedon is present in my office with me. We're here on the show cause hearing. The mother has finally been served in this action. So this is the first hearing since the mother has been served.
And is the mother present today? Let me
I
see.
see her on the Zoom as Monique Barnes.
All right. Monique Barnes, can you hear us?
What was that?
There you go. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can now.
Okay. So did you receive some paperwork in this case?
I just received some paperwork, yes.
Okay. So my first question, are you objecting to what's being requested today?
Well, I don't know if I'm objecting, but I certainly don't like how everything's been worded in there. And I would like to get the opportunity to be able to put in some of my paperwork so I can prove some things. And I'd also like to get an attorney if I could.
Okay. And are you currently employed, ma'am?
I have about 6 hours a month right now.
Okay, that tells me you would qualify. So you would like to have an attorney appointed, is that right?
Yes, please.
Okay, let me.
I'd just like to discuss with him what,
Understood. Yeah,
everything.
not a problem on that. So we'll appoint an attorney for mother. Sounds like dad has consented, if I recall, looking through this previously.
That's correct. The father has filed a consent that
Okay.
was filed February 27th.
Okay.
And
So,
Your Honor, Alana would also like an attorney.
okay. So we need an attorney for mom and for the child. I'll be able to do that right after this docket. I don't have the names in front of me, but our court administration will get off the list that we have, get people on that. I'll get orders signed. So we'll get that information out as quickly as we can. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So that sometimes is a bit of a challenge. We have a shortage of attorneys, unfortunately, but so I guess what I'm thinking about is how far to set this out. Is there, and I didn't dig too deeply in here because I didn't know mom had been served. Are there any visits happening in this case, or is that an issue?
There are not any visits happening currently.
Okay.
I can inform the court had signed an order on February 28th withholding documents and pleadings from the child to try to protect her. Over the weekend, the mother texted copies of all the pleadings to the child that had been withheld by court order. And then there was an issue yesterday with the mother texting child that she was going to pick her up from the school and needed to keep it secret. So there has been some things happening that are causing distress to the child right now.
Okay. So, ma'am, until we get some court orders on this case, I do need to have you not do those kinds of things, particularly either letting the child know any documents that are filed in this case that has been stopped by the court at this point. Where we'll be appointing her an attorney. They certainly could request that to be changed if that's what, and if that and the guardian recommends that. But at this point, we're trying to keep her a little out of the middle of all this.
Right, Your Honor, I had not read the part that said that she was supposed to be kept out of it until I had messaged and then I unsent the messages as soon as I found out. So.
Okay. So, and I'm not upset. I just want to make sure you understand where we're at on the case. So, I guess the other thing, and we can't have you, telling her you're going to pick her up at school or anything like that. You need to work with the guardian if you want to have some contact. Is there any objection to, I guess, just innocuous text to the child? I don't know that I saw that any restraint on that, did I? Maybe I did.
I don't know if Ms. Turnbull could weigh in. I know that the communications that happened this weekend were upsetting to the child.
Mhm.
And so I would be hesitant, but I don't know if Ms. Turnbull could weigh in.
Ms. Turnbull?
Well, yeah. One of my concerns is mom's drug use, and I think my concern is whether or not she's able to manage her communication if she's under the influence. I think Alana is, I do think she was very distraught over the weekend, and whether, I think those communications maybe ought to be supervised at this point.
Okay. Well, I think what I'm gonna say, ma'am, is given that we have a 12-year-old here, so she probably doesn't need to be in the middle of all of this. I understand you may have desire to have some contact right now. I think I'm gonna not allow that until we get a little farther in the case and get some more information. We will get you an attorney appointed, and they'll be able to bring your concerns and bring your request to the court. Let's see here. So how much, I guess, do we want 2 weeks on this one or 3?
I would lean towards 3 because if we're just getting attorneys appointed, they're going to need a little bit of time to get up to speed.
It's kind of my thought. Ms. Turnbull, is that?
That's fine.
Okay. That would put us on the 16th of April. All right.
That works for me.
Okay. So let me just double check one thing here. On the order, Ms. Powers, you want to prepare an order on that one as well?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Would your client have any objection to if the mother wants to reach out to the guardian and then if it's an agreement that there could be some contact, she could kind of monitor that and see if that is appropriate?
Give me 1 second to find out.
Okay.
Also, Your Honor, on April 16th, is that at 10:30 in the morning again?
Yes, it would be. It'd be just like
Thank
this
you.
on a Zoom hearing.
My clients are fine with that.
Okay. So, ma'am, if you do want to reach out, go through the guardians, and if they're comfortable with how you're doing and what your goal is, and they may be able to listen in or hear that would at least allow some contact in between now and the 16th. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So we'll be back on the 16th, and I'll await Ms. Powers. You'll do an order on that, and that again can be electronic.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're here on the Veselek matter, 24-4-7608. I know Ms. Turnbull was tied up in another hearing. So before I worry about that, why don't we tell me where we're at on this case? Ms. Powers, start with you.
Thanks, Your Honor. At this point, the guardian ad litem has issued a report. At our last hearing, Mr. Gojak was appointed to represent the mother. We're still waiting to find out what the mother's position is, whether she's consenting or objecting to the guardianship.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Good. At this point, I still have not had an opportunity to speak with my client. I do see her that she is on the Zoom. Miss Barnes, can you, are you there?
Yes, I am.
So, Miss Barnes, could you please, after court today, get in touch with me? Is your phone number 3?
Yes, I just didn't know who they had appointed me. So
Okay, I will text you so you have my number, but give me a call right after court. So, Your Honor, I would ask for us to just set this over for another review hearing so I have a chance to talk to my client and see if we are consenting to the guardianship or contesting it.
Right,
Thank
Mr. Lee, I did see your report.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Yeah, there isn't much more to add to that, Your Honor, just in the interest of these proceedings, except that I, met with the child and just tried to succinctly state her wishes for the record.
Okay. So here's my thought. We don't have a docket on the 30th. If I were to set this over to the 7th, that would give Mr. Gojak and Ms. Barnes an opportunity to talk, determine if this is agreed or not. If it's agreed, then you two would be, or you three would be able to chat, put together agreed orders, come back on the 7th of May, and enter those orders. And if it's not agreed on the 7th of May, we can take whatever next steps we need to do to get those hearings set up.
So, Your Honor, I'm actually in trial on another guardianship matter on the 7th. Could we do the 14th?
Does that work for everybody?
That's fine for me.
One moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes, that should be acceptable to me as well.
Okay. So, and I'll assume Ms. Turnbull can be available. I know she's tied up on another docket right now. There's no real change at this juncture. So, Ms. Powers, if you want to shoot an order to that effect, continuing the status quo to the 14th. And again, if you all come to an agreement prior to that time and come to agreed orders, that could be, this could be submitted ex parte, and then we could strike that hearing if need be. But okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your
Sounds
Honor.
good.
Ms. Barnes,
Thank
I'll
you.
give you a call as soon as we're off the docket, okay?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll set it over to May 14th at 10:30, and we'll go from there. All right, then, Mr. Lee, I think I saw you log in, and Ms. Powers on the Veselac matter.
Yes. Good morning, Your Honor. Counsel for the respondent child.
Amy Powers here for the petition. Mr. Peden is present in my office with me as well.
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Dino Goyek here on behalf of the mother.
Good morning. So I do have an order that appears to have a lot of signatures on it.
I'm not sure what order you would have. My understanding is that we've been waiting to see if Miss Barnes will consent to the minor guardianship. We were here on April 16th. Miss Barnes has not filed a response yet, so in all accounts, it sounds like she's going to consent, but she has not filed a response, an objection, or a consent in this matter. So I feel like we're a little bit stuck until that happens. I'd ask the court to set a date certain that she needs to file some sort of response. Otherwise, we may consider a motion for default, pursuing a motion for default.
Okay. The order I have was one, it looks like it was provided by your office with signatures from Diana Peden, John Peden, yourself, and Austin.
Oh, that's probably the emergency minor guardianship. We had submitted that for our initial hearing way back when we filed the case, but we still don't know Miss Barnes' position, so it hasn't been addressed yet.
Got it. Okay, that's the order I had. That's what I was referencing. So,
okay.
Mr. Gojek, do you know when we might see a response?
So, Your Honor, I will turn that over to my client who is present here today to let us know whether she wants to consent or object to the guardianship. I can try my best to try to get something filed with the court, but I have not been able to get an answer one way or the other.
Okay. Ms. Barnes?
Hi, I had talked to my attorney a little bit, and I did not, I mean, I consent to the guardianship. I just was kind of wondering why there was all that other stuff put in there that's no proof that I've neglected my child or anything in any way. But yes, I do believe that the best thing for her right now is to go with Diana.
Okay.
For, the time being.
Okay. So
I had a family emergency come up, and that's why I haven't been able to connect with my attorney too much.
okay. So I'm wondering on this one, and Ms. Turnbull is also involved in this one. And it would seem to me maybe what we could do today, based on Ms. Barnes's verbal agreement to proceed forward, I could enter this temporary order, which is the temporary guardianship, and then we can set out, that gives us a little more flexibility time-wise to put together consents and everything else for a final.
That sounds good to me, Your Honor. And Ms. Barnes, I will send out the consent form to you to hopefully sign.
I would be in agreement with that as well.
That's what
Same, Your Honor.
Okay, so well, what I'm going to do, I've got this order. It was signed by everybody except Mr. Gojek and Ms. Barnes. I believe Mr. Lee, I don't know that you signed this.
No, this was prepared before Mr. Lee was appointed.
I see. Okay. So let me just have a look here. So looking at the wrong order. There it is. Looking at the wrong, no wonder something didn't look right there. So let me see here. So it looks like I do not have a signature from Alana either.
No, that's the
Would not-
child. Would the court want me to just send an updated version with signature lines for everybody on it? Or would the court be willing to write in approved via Zoom for Mr. Lee and Ms. Turnbull?
I'm fine doing that. Mr. Lee, are you agreeable to that process moving forward?
That is just fine, Your Honor.
And Ms. Turnbull?
That's fine.
Okay. I made that notation. So how much time do you think you want in order to get work on final paperwork?
Maybe
I
a
could
month
have-
out.
That would be just fine. I can do final paperwork and circulate it to the parties at the same time that we're waiting for the consent to come in.
Okay. How much time do you think? I didn't catch the date, the time.
Mr. Gojek suggested a month out. I don't need that long, but it's fine if it goes out that far. That would put us to June 11th.
Okay. Let's put it to June 11th, and then this is another one where probably as long as we have a consent from everybody, again, Ms. Turnbull probably doesn't have anything else we need to do on this case. Assuming. So we'll put it on for the 11th, and I won't do a separate order extending. We'll have the temporary order, which will be in place until we come back on the 11th.
Okay, can I just confirm on the order on emergency minor guardianship, which you just entered, did you add an expiration date on the first page under 1 for when the letters expire?
I did not, but let's see here.
I believe it's usually 60 days out.
We don't have a trial date set, and we can go to the date of the regular guardianship, but let me see here just a second. I'm not seeing the expiration.
I believe by statute, emergency minor guardianships are generally granted for 60 days.
I understand that. That's if you don't have a hearing set on the general. So I'm going to put a review on the, see it 11th, 11. Let's see here. So I'll put out 60. So if we go to the, how about the 2nd of July?
Okay.
So I've added that paragraph 10.
Thank you. And was July 2nd also added on page 1?
Well, I set a review date on June 11th, which was when we're coming back for the review date.
I know it's just under the next section. It says child, child's name, and then letters expire. So I think that the date is also supposed to be included there.
Which paragraph are you looking at?
On page 1, within the boxes, there's date guardian appointed, and then child's name, and then next to the child's name, it says letters expire.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the 2nd. Okay, I've added that there.
Thank you.
Okay. In that order, then we'll be back on the 11th, and hopefully we'll be able to get a full order in place.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And Ms. Barnes,
thank
I'll
you.
give you a call here right after court.
I don't think I'll set a hearing yet. We'll take a look on when we come back on the 11th if we need that. Okay. Or the CLEC matter?
Yeah, I'm here on that matter. I had sent out proposed final pleadings to all the parties. Tom Lee represents the child and signed off on the order. Amy Turnbull is the court visitor, and she also agreed with the order. The father is in agreement. We just still have not heard back from the mother. Mom is represented by Dino Kojak. I don't know why he's not here today. I did send my proposed order to him. He indicated he had not been able to be in contact with the mother about this final order. I don't know if the court wants to recall this, and I can call Dino's office and see if I can get him on.
Sure, why don't we do that? I've got one other matter which we can address while you're doing that. So we'll come back to that case.
Okay.
Ms. Powers, did you have any luck with Mr. Gojak?
No, his office did not answer. I did shoot him an email as well. Haven't heard back. I think at this point I might ask that the court set this over 3 weeks. The mother was served on March 12th and hasn't filed any response. She has appeared at most of the hearings and has a court-appointed attorney. The court investigator's report indicates that she believes the mother's in agreement. What I think I need to do at this point is just do a motion for default and have this heard in 3 weeks, hopefully to just enter final orders. I don't know the default is necessary, but I can't get her to sign
Sure. And it
final
looks
orders.
like our letters are valid through, looks like July 2nd, so that would be appropriate anyway.
Perfect.
So we'll just simply set this over 3 weeks to the 2nd. Hopefully you can be in touch with Mr. Gojak and maybe we either get agreement or proceed under default.
Thank you.
All right, very good. I'm not going to do any additional orders because the current order runs to that date.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Select 24,476.08. Let's see here. I've got.
Amy Powers here for the petitioners. We filed a motion for default against Ms. Barnes, the mother, and also sent over proposed final orders. The GAL, Amy Turnbull, has signed off on the final order, and so has Tom Lee, attorney for the child.
Okay, do you have those orders? All right. Just 1 second here.
Your Honor, Attorney Dino Goyak here on behalf of the mother.
These might be duplicate orders. I don't know.
All right, so Mr. Gojak, you're representing the minor, correct?
The mother, Your Honor.
The mother has appeared at hearings, and Mr. Gojak was appointed at the end of March. We've had several hearings since then, but Ms. Barnes has not filed any response.
So, Your Honor, my client has stated a couple of times on record that she consents to the guardianship. I've had minimal contact with her between the hearings. It's just been it's just not been the best of contacts. So at this time, I would ask the court to allow me to withdraw as counsel. I don't believe there's anything more I can do without contact. And she has indicated on a couple of occasions that on record she's consented, but there's been a couple of occasions where she's said that she was thinking of objecting to it. So I don't have any further information than that for the court.
All right. So based on that information, we'll allow withdrawal of Mr. Gojak. I assume you're not objecting to an entry of a default at this time, given the historical representations?
Unfortunately, I can't take a position either way, Your Honor.
Okay. So based on no response, she has appeared requesting counsel. Obviously, you were appointed. We've not, and she has consented at least at some level. I will enter a default order today. And again, Mr. Gojek, if you want to file withdrawal effective today, I assume we have some fees that we will need to reimburse you on.
Yes, Your Honor, I can file a motion for compensation. Does Your Honor want me to file a notice of withdrawal or an order?
Probably just an order along with your request for fees. We can put it all in one order if you want.
Okay, I will do that, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right, and I am signing the minor guardianship findings in order as well today.
Thank you.
Does that? All right, so this does discharge you from the case.
Oh, okay, then no need for a separate order.
Correct. So all we'll need is just your fee request.
Will do, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Just a second here. I do have two sets of orders. Are they the same, I assume?
The correct one, if you check on page 7, is signed off by Amy Turnbull and Mr. Lee. I believe we sent one over and then got an extra signature, I believe.
That is correct. We'll eliminate the wrong ones. I've signed the correct ones.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
You as well.
That was the final hearing in Mom's second minor guardianship case. The default for a full guardianship was signed at the last hearing because, true to form, Mom continued to be impossible to get a hold of. We never found out why the father in the second case couldn't take their daughter, but the important thing is that the grandparents have stepped up and are going to keep the child safe and secure. I hope Mom and Dad from the first case can get it together and get the help that they need for their children's sake, or else someone else is going to be raising their children for a long time to come. Thank you for watching.